Welcome back to This Podcast Ends With You with myself, Ahmed _, and Myra and Osmaneku. If you're asking why I sound depressed right now, it's because this is the Joshua episode, effectively. Because we got 2 episodes of the anime, and Joshua was heavily featured in both. But it's okay. We won't let that ruin the episode. The episode's fine. We talk about episode 4 and 5 of the anime. And we talk a little bit about the dev interviews that were conducted both in Japan and on IGN. The next episode of the podcast will be recorded on the 22nd of May. And we're going to be going back to our regular time. So we're going back to 8 p.m. GMT and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But for now, enjoy this episode of This Podcast Ends With You. That's how we start things here. We start things sporadic. We start things chaotic, you know? Sometimes in life, you think, man, I've done my part. You know, the car's running, the engine is going good, and I'm on my way to my wedding. You know, it's a very important day for me. And then the second you leave your house, even though nothing's gone wrong with the car before, it breaks down and crashes. Like, and in like the weirdest way too, like a ferret comes out of like your fuel tank. Like, it makes 0 sense. What I'm trying to say is that I love streaming. I love OBS. Nothing ever goes wrong when you stream, ever. 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 Welcome back to This Podcast Ended With You, episode 5. We've been doing this for 10 weeks. 10 weeks of This Podcast Ends With You, and you're still not sick of us. That is amazing. You all have patience of saints. I appreciate you. Thank you. But I don't appreciate you alone. I appreciate you with my co-hosts, Myra Zed and Osmaneku, once again. What are you guys doing?
Hello. We are here.
That's not exactly answering his question. I'm doing better than I was yesterday, at least. Yesterday, I felt like I got hit by a truck, and not in the TPEWY way of it phases through me. No, I think I actually got hit like a truck. I was exhausted yesterday, so I'm doing a lot better yet today.
That's good. The thing that you guys don't know behind the scenes is that all 3 of us are very busy people. And I don't think I would be able to run this podcast without these people by my back. So honestly, any praise that is forwarded to me for the podcast and any of the wonderful words you guys forward me to the podcast should be forwarded to these guys as well, because they're as big a part of this as I am. All that to say, welcome back to This Podcast Ends With You. Neku, did you want to say something?
Mostly just thank you all so much for the support and how long this has been going for. We started this at what we keep calling as literally the perfect storm of timing. And it's just great to see people sticking around and sharing us around and watching everything grow as it has, and our community slowly all coming towards right here, which is very fun and very nice to see.
That is true. Welcome back. Episode 5. What we're going to be talking about today is we like the format that we've been doing so far, so we're going to keep it up. We're going to talk about episode 4 of the podcast first, before going into some more general TPEWY news. There's some dev interviews that happened, some little snippets that we've been seeing about the game here and there, and then we are going to be going into episode 5 at the end of the podcast. So if you haven't had a chance to watch that yet, please skip out on that part, as it were. Without further ado, I know Mai is very excited. She's very excited. She is extremely.
It's not just my.
There has been warfare. See, here's the thing. All right, I before we even begin.
He just starts it, yeah.
Before we even get started. No, but I feel for you, right? Because we all share the Neku for Smash account at this point. So occasionally, like either myself or like Maya's the head of the account, but occasionally myself and Neku will either post or we'll scroll through or make comments under the posts or whatever, you know? The amount of Joshua propaganda this lady cycles through, that's not even her own account. She cannot help but be brainwashed. It can't be helped, really. I feel bad for you, Mai.
I don't need to take that because I'm fine.
You're fine? Are you?
I'm living my best life. Excuse
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you come over this side? Look, we have in the show realm, we have art
You have a
in
lot
the
of
streets.
trash?
It's art. It's art.
Literally, the only purpose of it is for Joshua to throw it around.
The purpose of it is to stand there as a statement and a testament to modern art and the Japanese way. So I'm not gonna have this. All right, we haven't even begun talking about the episode yet, and I'm already mad. Excellent. This is going exactly as planned. Episode 4 begins, much to my dismay, with Joshua appearing. The first thing that's kind of note that I want to talk about is that obviously the whole sort of scanning people in this anime was decisively weird. Like everybody, like the first thing people notice is that you suddenly scan people by touching them. I get a weird feeling that was all done for the sake of this week. Don't you think so, Mai?
Yeah, this just makes the chaos even better. Every time Niku needs to scan Joshua, he's just tackling him. Like, what are you doing? What do you know? Fucking tell me.
It's every single time where it's just like, it's either coincidental, he touches them and then he's like, oh my god, or like he's like, you get over here, and then he gets a flashback. So like I'm at this point, I'm honestly pretty convinced that that's the only reason why they made that change in the anime. I don't know if you have anything to say about that, Neku.
It's super interesting because we know how scanning normally works in the anime at this point. You put your hand through a living person in the real ground and you can read their thoughts. He is straight grabbing Joshua, which tells us Joshua is a player, but it also tells us that Joshua is in the real ground because he's able to still read his thoughts. It's super, super weird. And it's a lot more queer than in the game where he's like, I'm going to randomly scan my partner. Like, it's not a conscious decision. It is a, holy shit, what is happening? How is this working?
Mm-hmm. It's different. The weird thing is, to me, is that from what we've seen, Neo doesn't seem to have this. Neo just seems to have regular, your everyday scanning. So... yeah. I mean,
it's probably an ease of use sort of thing for a game. To be able to do that from anywhere would be a lot more convenient than having to run across the street to try to scan somebody. I bet it's just a quality of life thing.
That's likely. That's just a quality of life thing. Tell you what is a quality of life thing, though. My man Minamoto showing up, finally showing us his beautiful face. There's something I gotta say about Sho, actually. Because as much as I love Sho, and as much as I love the way he's depicted in this, he's just depicted to be a lot more cruel in this than he is usually. Like he's always been kind of like all for destruction and chaos. In this episode in particular, he's very much in tune with his chaotic side. But before I even get into that, as a person who's played the original game in English, I thought his voice was a little bit jarring. Not because of anything that's wrong with his voice. I'm just so used to the English voice lines and like him saying, so is that a slow? And stuff like that. It's just so ingrained in my memory that like how different he sounds in Japanese gets me. I don't know if it's still really, really good. The voice still fits, at least from a Japanese standpoint. But you're right. It is so weird to go from hearing "so Zeta slow" every 5 minutes to a very, very calm and methodical, but very angry Japanese cat-faced man screaming through a microphone.
I thought it was a great touch with the microphone. The megaphone.
Oh yeah, of course.
I think the best part about Sho's introduction scene was him just kind of being like, you know what your second mission is after the first day? Kill each other.
Yeah, because that was super interesting, right? Because that's totally new. That's completely from how the game does things. And it shows a more vicious side to Sho that we would have seen in the games. Like we all know that he's kind of vicious and he doesn't care as long as people die, basically. Or sorry, players die. But like he really goes in. He really goes in. He tells them to attack each other. He tells them to attack Reapers. He just doesn't care. I quite like it.
Something that I've noticed is that they're really depicting like all the Reapers just more aggressive and cruel. In the game, we get to see like, and they have it with Deathmatch at least, that like we saw like their friendly sides in the game, and it's like especially in like just in I think episode 3, where Karya and Izuki are just getting lunch, and like it's such a casual scene. They're just people, but then they get so menacing when Beat comes in, and so
They're sadistic.
Yeah, it's really showing off their sadistic sides.
It's a little terrifying to see how unhinged all of the Reapers are so far. Like Higashizawa, we didn't get to see much with because they skipped over a lot of his building up Shiki scenes. But almost every other Reaper we have seen, they're like actively trying to kill everyone. Like that is the point of the game, and it's very, very sadistic to watch them go. We don't want to kill you today. Kill each other. Just do that.
That's the thing. Like it's in like Megumi, for example. Megumi, like in the game, like it feels like he's just like, to an extent you can be like, oh, he's just following the rules and we're being little shits. In this, you feel like he's actively twisting the rules to her. Maybe he is like that in the game, but I don't know. I feel like Megumi in particular is a bit more malicious in the anime than he is in the game.
He's more malicious during week 3 in the game after Iron Witch gets taken out.
Right.
But before then, he's very much, this is the rules, this is how it needs to be ran. No, this time around, everyone is just like, fuck the rules, everyone dies.
It's true. Another thing that I know me and you, we kind of talked about when we were watching this episode is the players and the fact that he actually gave them like unique looks and personalities.
Yeah. I really like that they're putting an emphasis on the other players, because like the whole idea at the end of the week is that Neku has come to have an appreciation and care about all the other players. And so, but we never got to see any of the other players except for Now and Soda in the game. So I really like that they're bringing in more players and you can actually see their struggle.
Did anyone else watch Twitter explode over Hat Girl? Or was that just me on the subreddit and scrolling around Twitter?
Wait, what?
Huh?
Which Hat Girl?
There was a very specific character that people were calling Hat Girl. Yeah, the beret girl.
Yeah, I like her design.
I watched the subreddit very closely because I have to, and not even a joke, like 10 or 15 posts in a row were simping over this girl.
Was Reddit simping over like 5 frames of animation of a girl that's okay.
It was some of the funniest posts I had seen in a while, and I have to interject that because it's so funny.
Never change
Reddit.
People
made sprites for her.
People made sprites for her. I both love and hate this community. People made sprites
chat,
for her.
I need you to pull up the sprites and put them in the chat.
There's
for
no
people.
way. No, you know what? I'm calling BS. There's no way people made game sprites for an God damn. No, I don't.
Chat,
There's no way. There's
We'll see.
We'll see. Another thing in that scene that was kind of interesting.
Do we want to talk about Sho and Joshua's interaction?
So, do you want to like trust my abilities as host and know that I'm coming back to that, Neku? You know, I was just about to mention that. Look, I don't feel like Neku, look at me. Look at me in my finger. Look at me in my eyes.
Okay.
Does this not look like a professional to you? Don't just stay silent. Does this not look like a professional to you?
You're accusing me of not trusting you. How am I not supposed to stay silent here?
My point is that there was a very clever use of dialogue here. In the, you know what, Neku, you can just fuck off. Actually, like, you know, I'm over here trying my best. You don't think you know what? Here we go. Time for professional podcasting. All right, are you ready? Are you ready to get your goddamn socks blown off?
Sure.
So you should be angrier. So there's a point in the anime where Sho is like on top of his, as I said, piece of art. Michelangelo would be jealous of the sculpture that he was sitting on. And he looks down at the pair of Neku and Joshua and he's like, oh, so you're a player this time. A very clever diversion because it's not made completely clear who he's directing that question to. Isn't that right, Neku?
Yeah, exactly. Because Minamimoto has never seen Neku ever. He literally has not interacted with him. So him going, "You're a player this time," and Neku going, "Huh? I've never met you. What?" It was a very clever way for Sho to acknowledge who was standing next to him without directly spoiling anything.
Mhm.
Guys, why is it real? Oh no.
I told you it was real.
No.
I told you. That's not right with simping over Hat Girl. I was not
Guys,
joking.
come on.
I wish I knew about this. I would have joined in because I liked her design. I saw her. I was like, oh, this player looks cool.
Guys, come on, man. They showed up for fun. Come on. Guys. Guys,
For everyone
come on,
who's
man.
not, for our audio only listeners, he's currently screaming about the blue topped beret girl who like was on the screen for half a second.
Deadass!
And
I don't even think she was on screen for a grand total of 5 seconds, and they're also, you know, like,
She is cute. Okay, it's a cute design. It's like one of the only NPCs that actually has like fashion.
yeah,
I hate the internet. I really do. But that's besides the point. What isn't besides the point is the use of the fusion attacks. In this week in particular, because like fusion attack with Shiki in week 1 was
Non-existent.
well, like they could have been hinting at it, like because like one of the fusion attacks is them just kind of like doing a flurry of attacks. They could have been hinting back at that, but with as I know you'll remember, my with Joshua, it was a bit more specific than that, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. With no, I'm just thinking with Joshua and Neku, they also just like skipped past their fusion 1. They just went straight to fusion level 2 with the fire and ice. So but that's what they were doing in the anime. They're just like, well, there's a bunch of noise just attacking all these players, let's just crush them. And then again, and like that's how they're dealing with taboo noise, because you know you have to work together with your partner to defeat the taboo noise. So that it makes sense that they're doing that, but it's just like, it's cool to see it animated, but it just kind of came out of nowhere for me. Just like what happened to Fusion 1? I guess they picked up that pin, unlocked that real quick.
I mean, I guess it's just more visually obvious, right? That it's their fusion. Fusion 1 is just kind of him throwing shit around, which Joshua can do himself anyway.
Yeah.
It genuinely confused me to see the fire and ice meteors just suddenly appear. I was like, how? It took Neku and Shiki like day 3 to 4 to figure out how to do sync attacks. And Neku was just willing to accept the fact that he was just like, you know, I'm just going to summon a bunch of fucking meteors real quick.
I mean, Joshua knows what he's doing. Neku knows what he's doing, so...
Are you sure? Are you really in your heart of hearts? Okay, can you say that for sure?
That Joshua knows what he's doing? Yes. Kind of.
Okay.
He has a plan.
The lack of confidence in that kind of blew my mind.
Well, he didn't. This is always. I mean, he like even just in his conversation with Hanakoma, in the anime, he's just like, no change on my end. We're good. Let's. No opinions have been changed yet. But that obviously does change.
That's true. There's much to my dismay, there are a couple of interactions between Joshua and Neku in this episode. Namely, Joshua kind of offers Neku. First of all, Joshua brings up the decal thing, which you really waited this long to bring that up. Like, Neku, is that not weird to you? That they waited this long before bringing up the decals?
My first thought when I realized they hadn't brought up the decals and they just did was, why haven't they acknowledged the clothing? Because Shiki would have been all over shops if she could have anyway. And then I realized the clothing system doesn't exist in the anime. They are constantly wearing the same clothes.
We were discussing this. It's just like seems like fashion is like it barely ever if ever discussed in this anime. Despite being such a huge part of the game.
It's kind of sad.
It's very sad. We'll never see Neku in all Musratus.
Oh yeah, that was a funny.
That would have been great. Damn it. But yeah, and then like, Joshua gives Neko an ice cream, and he looks like he's never had an ice cream before. Which
if Neku had bit off the top of the ice cream, I would have hollered in laughter. Just boy don't know how to eat ice cream.
Well, something that was funny is that because like you get more points like for the sync if the character likes the food that they're eating in the game. Neither of them like ice cream.
You're right. You're absolutely right. That's even funnier. Joshua actively went out of his way to get something they both don't like to prove a point. That's just a Joshua thing to do. I can't say anything else about that.
Who would have thought?
But,
Joshua's being a
that
massive
gave him
shitter.
bravery.
It did give him bravery. What else happens? Taboo Noise obviously shows up. We mentioned that they're just destroyed through sync attacks. I don't think there's too much to talk about. Taboo Noise are just kind of there.
The mechanic is exactly the same in the game. If you attack the same one on both screens, you do max damage. It's the exact same thing here, just simplified.
Yeah. There is... I don't think Joshua questioned... In the game, I think... Didn't Neku, question Joshua whenever he was on the phone? I don't think he did that in this, right?
He never confronted him about it, but he did make mental comments of how the fuck is he talking on the phone?
Yeah. It's weird that they haven't brought it up in the anime, that we just because we still get some of Neku's thoughts, but we don't hear him be like, wait, how is he placing the call?
Yeah, that's
he doesn't question it, and it's weird.
What else? Oh yeah, how could I forget Square Enix refusing to let my shanking end? They had to grab me, shank me in the heart once more, and show me the Aerie scene again. Which, in the flower shop, Aerie comes in and picks up some flowers for, presumably, Shiki's grave. And God, it's really rough. It tugs at your heartstrings real good. And it's a very well done scene.
Just imagine if it was a Reaper approved shop.
Yep. I made that comment the second I watched the first episode, and my first thought was quite literally, what if Neku had walked in, not realizing it was a decal shop, and said, "I'm sorry" to Aerie's face? What would have happened? How hard would my heart have been ripped out?
Harder, Neku. Your heart blows.
I just keep twisting the dagger.
Yep, it's never gonna end.
Every time they show Shiki fading, I just keep twisting the dagger square. Just keep making it hurt. Okay, just keep going, I guess. There's already a hole here.
Especially considering the fact that there's a high possibility we're not even gonna get the happy ending of the first game.
Huh?
Because they want to tie it into Neo in the end, and I think that this anime is one big excuse for them to tie in the final remix ending somehow and make it canon into tie more cohesively into the main story. So I'm guessing something big isn't going to change with the ending of the anime, but I don't have any evidence.
I think they're going to keep it the same and just be like, "Hi, you thought this was the end? You thought it was good ending? No, there's still an episode left."
That's my bet, because A New Day, they do acknowledge that Neku and Beat have been out of the game for a few months. And then all of a sudden they just realized they had player pins again. And they were like, wait, huh?
Yeah, huh?
You know that favorite thing you have from the last episode, or from Shiki's revelation for Neku being dead?
It's so, yeah.
Huh?
It's just oh man, I can't wait to get back to life. And Neku's like, what?
We keep going back to that. It's never going to stop. We keep twisting the knife for ourselves.
It's still funny. Speaking of Beat he just kind of it's really weird, right? because he just kind of shows up, decks Neku in the face, and leaves without much of an explanation. Like, not even fights him. He just kind of like just straight in the jaw, and then
I mean, it's just like in the game. I mean, he literally just shows up. He's like, "Well, I'm gonna fight you," and then he leaves.
Yeah.
Well, it's still a fight in the game. It's just you get him to half health, and the fight just ends for some reason. Which makes more sense to me. They could have made it into an actual fight, but when they just punched Deku and they just went, "Nah, I'm done," and left, I was like,
yeah.
I went dead silent, just stared at the screen for a good 2 minutes, just going, "That's not how this works." Like, Megumi's gonna be mad at you for not erasing him, right? Right?
There you go. Do you want to mention something, Mai?
Yeah, just like the biggest oof, and what I'll miss the most. R.I.P. Tinpin. It's gone.
Pepperonis. A moment of silence for Tinpin. A moment of hold on. I have a moment of silence ready. Okay, moment of silence over.
I think Shooter and Yammer are just gone.
They're just dead.
No fancy slam on. They're just dead. No shonen protagonists allowed.
I mean, Beyblade's not cool anymore.
That's the thing, right? Because I've spent some time thinking about how the hell they would animate Tinpin, and I have made zero progress. Like, it's would it just them be like putting their fingers on the pins and just like slamming him against each? Like, how would it work? Like, fair enough, Beyblades are also bullshit, but at least you can kind of understand what kind of magic nonsense you can put into that to make it work. How would you make Tinpin work realistically?
I think the only way they can make it work is with Sykes, but how does that work in the real ground?
I don't know. This is the thing.
My first thought was they'd do something like Gundam Build Fighter, where it's like it's just a virtual world, but you have physical things to make the virtual things go. That was the only thing I could think of that could make it anywhere near possible for the anime. And it seems like the creators have all decided, fuck it, get rid of it.
Yeah, but that's not even how it works, because like we'd seen in just like with his modded pins that they can be modded. How would that transfer into data?
Good question. Not thinking about it.
No, I'm getting a telegram here. I'm getting a brainwave here from the internet telling me that apparently Shooter and Yammer were in episode 1 when we didn't notice.
They were in the background when Neku like woke up. So they're
least
alive. They're just
somehow.
not important.
Almost every major character in this game was in the background in Shibuya Square during episode 1, to be fair. Even Joshua was there.
He sure was. He sure was. Other than that, I think that's everything of note in episode 4. It was kind of like it was definitely, of all the episodes so far, I'd say it's probably the one that stuck the well, no, you know what? Episode 4
ripped a lot away for the last 2 days. It was day 3 and 4, right?
Episode 4?
Episode 4? Episode 4?
Episode
what are you
3?
Talking about?
No.
Episode 4, I think, covered day 3 and 4, right?
No, episode 4 was day 1 and 2 of week 2.
Okay, maybe I'm just mixing them up in my head.
Are you talking about for the first week?
Second week. I'm just nuts. Move on.
Okay. I think you're talking about the next episode, which we're not going to discuss yet.
Yeah.
So because I was actually gonna, I think I know what you're gonna say, and I was gonna say the same thing, but I'm gonna wait for later. I'm gonna wait and discuss that later. But like overall, the episode was it was pretty good. It was all right. It wasn't my favorite episode, but it was pretty good. We got T-Show. We got to see Joshua being he kind of, I wish he was more douchey in this first in this episode. He gets better later on, but I wish he was a bit douchier. It
really felt just like the honeymoon period, and then we get episode 5 and he's like, haha, never mind.
Yeah, that's
I don't
when he
have
really
to pretend anymore.
That's when he really just starts drinking milk straight out of the carton, just straight up just awful stuff.
Oh, you thought you were fine to move in with me? 2 days later.
But yeah, the pacing is fine. It was suspenseful. It was pretty cool. It was pretty all right. You know. Any comments about episode 4?
It still felt a little fast for my like. Otherwise, I thought it was fine. Nothing really big happened outside of the decals being a thing and Aries scene ripping our heart out again. Everything else was pretty quiet, in my opinion.
Right.
So not a bad episode, but not a good one.
I think just like I just really like the scene where all the players are tormented by Show.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that.
I mean, Show caused such chaos. Even got the Reapers involved. Freaking told them to go try and erase Izuki. And
that was funny.
So that scene really stuck out to me.
Because also, like, it's the first. Now Maya and Neku know this, but I've been getting some spicy theories as of late. Which I'm not gonna talk about until I have more evidence for them. But there is a side of Neku that's being shown here a bit more than before that I think is quite interesting, which is his sort of role as sort of like a mentor or sort of a providing guidance to other players. Because in that scene, he goes out of his way and sends them into the crowd being like, no, you have to trust your partner, guys. And tells them not to attack each other, which he kind of does do in the game, but it's a bit more, I guess, preachy here. So it's interesting. It's interesting that they're kind of they're kind of emphasizing that aspect of them. I don't know what it means yet, but it's interesting. However, with that being said, if no one else has anything to say about episode 4, I think we're going to move on. Something else it's also anime related, but in a different way. We got the announcements last week of the anime getting a Spanish and a Portuguese dub. Now, I love TPEWY Spain. I love that account. I love those guys. They're super hype, super cool community. However, I can't remember the last time an anime got a Spanish and Portuguese dub before an English dub.
I'm just crying in English.
Just tears.
So before anyone says any other mean comments, none of us speak Spanish or Portuguese. So we're very, very excited for everyone else that can, but we cannot. And we have a very specific cast list that we have been waiting to see again for 14 years, and we need it.
Now, the voice actor for Neku says he apparently has not been contacted. There is a slight possibility that he's winding us up. It's very slight, but there's a very slight possibility he's trying to wind us up or tries to get us excited for it. But working on the assumption that he isn't, and they actually have not contacted him, it's kind of not great. I wish it wasn't. It would be weird for there not to be an English dub at all.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Funimation behind the project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
If it was an English, if there was an English dub and it just wasn't the original actors, like, okay, that wouldn't be great, but whatever, you know? It's just weird that there isn't one at all. Especially since, like, when the dub came out, it came out for all the previous episodes, too.
Yeah, they've been recording those for a while.
So, what's the holdup? You know?
Yeah, I'm just hoping they're really trying to get all their original English voice actors. I'm just really hoping. I know everyone's hoping. I saw lots of comments saying we need to go save Aaron Span from his TV his TV job.
Oh Lord.
Wait, what is a TV job? I don't know about this.
Dolby Vision.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he sells TVs.
Well, shit, we do need to,
Lord.
need to rescue him.
The only assumption I have is one of the two parties involved, Square Enix or Funimation, has the English dub under lock, and they're not saying anything because something is holding them up. I don't know which party is doing it. I don't care which party is doing it. Please give us our babies.
Yeah, it's odd. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to be rash either. I kind of want to wait and see what happens. I feel like it's some sort of English dub is probably not too far away.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, we're still gonna ask for it, and if it doesn't happen, then there'll need to be severe action taken. But it's just really weird, you guys.
It could also, like, I know with a lot of other animes, they didn't get their dub until, like, you know, months after it was released. And so it's very weird that, to me, with just the Spanish and Portuguese dub coming out while it's still airing, that's what I'm confused about. It's just like, how has that happened and we don't have English?
Yeah.
Because I always thought that there wouldn't be a dub for any language until after it stopped.
Yeah.
It's going to be really crappy if we end up getting the Blu-ray set and the English dub is locked on there.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. It's hard to tell at this point. But I guess only time will tell. I'm not sure what can be said about that.
Oh, random sent the Aaron Span Derby Vision video.
Well, let
Welcome
it be.
to capitalism, Neku.
Moving on. So yeah, we hope things kind of improve. Moving on from the world of the anime for just a moment. Let's talk about the TPEWY PR account continues to be excellent and continues to give us just a bunch of information and a bunch of tweets and just a bunch of stuff to whet our appetite as we wait eagerly for the 27th of July when NEO comes out. And they have been showing us, amongst other things, they've been showing us a bunch of these like profiles about some of the characters. There's nothing too big of a note to mention in these, but we are gonna kind of mention them. There's nothing really new in these tweets. They're just kind of reiterating stuff about the game, sort of raising publicity, that kind of thing. Like here's one here about Shiba. Excuse me. Yeah, so it comes up position of the game master in Shibuya, yada yada yada, all stuff we've heard before. Obviously Shoka. Was also brought up. What to say here? One of the gods of death from Shinjuku. From the current get boring, a little out of and I'm a little. Translation is weird. Don't worry about Twitter.
Google Translate is not great translating these, just so everyone's aware.
Mm-hmm. And you know, Black Cat Hoodie, which is from Gato Nero, is the brand for that.
Can't wait to see where that goes. Really can't wait to see where that goes.
Yeah. So yeah, nothing too major there. It's just to kind of show them that these exist, and you can check out what kind of things are showing off. I believe there's some more here. Oh no, not that. Not no. Now I'm just skipping around. But there were some more.
Yeah, I go to the wrong places.
They were kind of some gameplay stuff as well, but you know, nothing new. What is new is this brand new dev interviews we got. We got two of them. We got one from IGN and one from Dengeki Online, which is a Japanese site. Dengeki Online, I believe, interviewed. It was Nomura. It was who wasn't Neku?
Nomura, Ito, and I think Kondo.
Yes.
I think there was one more.
So Ito, Kondo, Hirano, and Tetsuya Nomura. So the director, the series director, the producer, and the creative director in order. So we have 4 different people on this interview, which is a lot.
Yeah. Was there anything about it that stood out to you, Mai? Just from memory?
It's been, I read them right when they came out, so I'm a little rusty on it. But
Right.
the thing that did stick out to me is that the naming of it, they they didn't decide on the name for Neo until like real close to the announcement of it, because
Mm-hmm.
they're going back and forth between just the Little Ones 2 and then with something new. They wanted it to be something new, so they were like, well, let's just call it Neo.
Yeah, they mentioned that. Like they, I believe what was said in the interview is that they've made a conscious decision in the end to pick Neo the World Ends with You, because they just didn't want it to seem like the World Ends with You 2. Like, sure, it's gonna have some characters, some callbacks, but it's largely gonna be its own story, and it's largely gonna be different from the World Ends with You, which I think is fair. I think it's good to make that distinction.
Based on the interview, it's mostly just going to be a lot of cameos. That's why we see Neku in the trailer. I don't think he's going to play a huge part in this story because they want to focus on Rendo and the Twisters. I'd be really surprised if they gave Neku the story. I think he's just going to be like a side character that influences everything a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The one character they really
Yeah.
didn't talk about that I really wanted them to was Hype-chan.
It's still like, why isn't she not? She's been the face of, like the hope of the future of TPEWY for so many years now, and she's not even on the cover art.
That is odd. That's very true. It's just the cover art in itself is kind of weird with who they kind of picked to be on there. And it's funny if you read the interview because, like, in the interview itself, Tetsuya Nomura obviously can't keep his mouth shut. So they just kind of swerve the entire topic. They're like, "Oh, wacky, right? Isn't it weird that she's on the cover art? Oh, isn't that funny and crazy? Let's just move on." So they don't even address it really. So who knows why the hell Shoka's on the cover?
But just to like continue with like the other characters from the first game, I hope that they just come in at the end and it all ties together. Someone in the chat just said that in another interview they said that Neku has a more important role than just a cameo, which
I need the source
mean,
on that.
I could have sworn there was another interview because
There's no,
like,
I don't think there's any way to know that quite yet. It's I'm pretty sure that would all be speculation at this point.
Let's say
I mean, like,
in an interview and I can verify it, I will believe it. But Neku is iconic for a very different reason than a lot of protagonists because his series hasn't come back in 13 or 14 years, and he had his development, and then in Final Remix they were like, "Hey, we're gonna kill this kid again," and I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him a more major role. I kind of don't want them to, based on this interview.
well, I mean,
why is that?
would be I would on well, okay, you go first and I'll go.
Neku's story is finished.
Mm.
He had his growth. He had his big points. He's been through everything. He knows about the Reaper's game. He knows about Shibuya. He knows about Joshua. He knows about Hanekoma. Or he doesn't know about Hanekoma. He knows everything that's going on in the background. His story is done. He deserves to be done. So if he's involved, I'm just gonna have to swallow it and keep going. But I hope he's not like the crux of the story, is the way I would put it.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, is that they have said that it is tying in a new day, so he is gonna be involved, and they aren't just gonna leave that unanswered. That's what's leading into Neo. It's going to be important. Neku is going to be important. And so a lot of like you say that Neku's story is done. His character development is done. But that doesn't mean that him as a character is done. Because you can always think of new stories to do with characters and find things that they can do. What was great with his, he had character development and it's really done. But you can always just have them grow even more. Because there's still stuff that he doesn't know.
I can agree with you there. I think my biggest concern is
you don't want them to fuck it up.
Not even that. I just don't want him to be the main character of the story when they're putting so much emphasis on the Twisters.
Mm-hmm.
That's my concern.
It's gonna be hard to like. Yeah, go ahead.
in the first game, they make a really big deal of how powerful he is as a psych user. And I don't want them to use him as a Deus Ex Machina, get them out of bad situations and stuff like that. I don't want him to be used as a tool.
You don't want him to be the Jotaro Kujo of The Runs With You.
Yes.
I can agree with that, yeah.
Okay. See, yeah, no, I like, and that's the thing, like, because I've seen people say like, oh, I don't want a sequel to The World Ends With You because The World Ends With You was such a neat package and the story was so well presented and the story is so good as its own thing that it doesn't really need to be expanded on. And I get that, and I definitely understand that, and I have a whole thing later about expectations with this new game, but I'm gonna give them a little bit of faith because I feel like there can be some development that they can put in there, and there's some cool stuff they can do with it. Like hell, Show is in there as well, so and God only knows how much impact he's gonna have on the story in general, other than just kind of being there. It's probably too early to make. It's probably gonna be too early to make assumptions about what characters were gonna impact the story as of quite yet, but it's hard to tell. What were we gonna say, Mai?
Yeah, I hope that Show has a good impact because we really don't know much about his character other than that he is chaotic. He doesn't have a backstory.
Yeah, he definitely seems a bit more reserved whenever in anything he said in the trailers. Always been in the trailer. He seems a bit more reserved and controlled in Neo than he was in the original game. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I'm trying to look at what else was in interviews that we can talk about. I guess since we're talking about sort of The World Ends With You and how it will relate to The World Ends With You one, I think it's something that I personally want to bring up is expectations around this new game, because that comes out a lot in this particular interview. Yeah, sort of expectations and talking about the original game and how it was developed in comparison to this new game. There is no guarantee that this game will be better than the original. And I'm not saying that to be a massive downer on people and to like really burst the bubble, because like hell, I'm extremely excited for this game. I am super goddamn excited for what this game has in store and how much fun it's gonna be. And I'm gonna play it day one, and I'm probably gonna enjoy it. But I think it's important to remember that The World Ends With You was a very special game, especially around the gameplay, because it was so uniquely and like intimately designed for the DS's hardware, for example. And that's what made porting it such a pain. That's why porting it to the iPad was a bit of a pain. That's why porting it to Switch was a bit of a pain. So while I think that definitely the visuals and the music so far are holding up, I think people gotta like sort of tone down their expectations a bit for the gameplay and for certain aspects of the story, just so people aren't cripplingly disappointed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I know, Neku, we were talking about this earlier as well.
So when it comes to expectations for video games, as we all know, the world ended last year when the pandemic began. That's all I'm going to mention about it. But there was a very specific game that came out last year that had expectations thrown through the roof, and after a month it disappointed everybody, and that was Animal Crossing New Horizons. I was watching from the sidelines as that game was building hype and beginning to get more and more attention, and I played the game for 60 plus hours. I actually really enjoyed it at first, and then things I was looking for from the last game just weren't there, and it started ruining my experience. Same thing with my partner, Floral. She put 200 plus hours into this game, and then there's nothing else to do afterwards. And because the expectation was so high for this game to be good, it ruined expectations, and we haven't touched the game for like 6+ months. I don't want Neo to be the next New Horizons, because it's going to be a very different experience than what we're expecting, probably, because the combat system is completely different. It's a completely new cast. It's the same team, but it's new hardware. So I'm really hoping that once everything is said and done, we can still say we love this game, but it's not going to be the next TPEWY. That's why they said it's not The World Ends With You 2. It's New or Shin The World Ends With You.
Yeah. Like it's
yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying, Mai?
No, I was just like, yeah, that's a good way to put it. In general, because it is new.
It is new. So yeah, no, I agree with that sentiment. I think be excited, but but don't be too excited. No, be excited, but understand that the first game was something that was very special and may never be replicated again. So who knows? I'd love to be proven wrong. I would love to be proven wrong. Also,
be
the fact
excited, but don't shoot for the moon.
Yeah. Especially since this game is. Yeah, go ahead.
It's better to have low expectations, and so you don't get disappointed. But then, if it exceeds your expectations, then it's good on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
However, there is some super promising stuff coming up about the game, such as the fact that this game is going to be apparently 50 hours long, which is something that was brought up in this Ign interview. Why are you laughing, Mai? It sounds like you're in pain. Are you okay?
I don't have enough time.
No, come on. You know what? Come here. Get on the armchair. Come talk to me. Mai, come here. You just get comfortable.
People need to understand my pain. So it comes out on the 27th, and I leave on the 31st. I'm gonna be gone for a week, unable to play the game, and I have to beat the game before I leave, and that's only 96 hours. How am I supposed to do that?
Don't sleep.
50, I'm not gonna sleep. 50-hour main story, 50-hour side content. How? I have to uninstall Twitter.
Yeah, you will just have to uninstall Twitter for a week.
No, you will have
not
to
even a joke.
You will have to undownload Twitter. Get it right.
Shush.
You have to we were talking about this, and she unironically said, "I have to undownload Twitter," and it was the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I missed this. I need context.
just don't worry about it. I'll tell you about it later. About how she undownloaded Twitter. It was great. It was great.
I English very well.
But if it's gonna be a 50-hour story and it's coming out on a Tuesday, I am going to have to avoid social media for a long time. So I actually have time to beat this game.
There's a conversation to be had about when we should be talking about spoilers for this game. I'm gonna have to see what other fandoms do, but I'm certainly I'm not gonna be streaming my first playthrough of the game.
Absolutely not.
I might stream the second or third playthrough, but I probably won't be able to finish it before, for example, our first podcast after it comes out. So,
well, that's actually a discussion for us to have. What do we do a play along? Where we talk about spoilers for?
We'll have to see. But it's just the community as a whole is going to have to be very careful with spoilers after that game comes out.
Oh, I'm gonna be watching the Reddit like a hawk. You don't understand.
Yeah. You just gotta play it yourself first and finish it so nobody can spoil you.
Yeah, I literally have to. Depending on what my work situation is, I will have to take a few days off so I can watch the subreddit and not be spoiled. It is going to be a problem.
Yep. But anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. And the IGN interview, there's also a lot of good piece of information here. You can read it yourself. We don't have time to go through it fully here. But some of the big things that were mentioned in here is, first of all, as a lot of us have heard on Twitter, is that there does seem to be a lot of interest within the team if Neo does well in turning The World Ends With You into a full series. Like a fully blown, fully full Final Fantasy / Kingdom Hearts-esque series.
I want it.
I want
that sounds pretty. As long as the story doesn't get convoluted, that would be my main worry, is them going nuts with the story like they did with particularly Kingdom Hearts.
I would say be more Final Fantasy. Make each game separate with hints towards the previous.
That would be ideal. I'd love that. I would love that. Because honestly, I would have been happy about Neo even if Neku and Sho were nowhere to be seen.
I agree.
Like, that would not have bothered me in the slightest. But
I still would have been screaming for my boy, but I'm also would have been incredibly happy either way.
So, yeah, buy the shit out of Neo the Ones with you, I guess. We might get...
Show it to your friends. Show it to your family. Show it to the internet.
Show it to everyone you know and love. Or hate. Show it to your enemies. Why not? What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, make them cry.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me just check what's also talking about. There was a bit more talk about the gameplay and how it's team-based. Again, initially I was slightly disappointed that it's 4 pins as opposed to the max of 6 that you can have in the original. But this is a Square Enix game. I'm sure they can figure out some way to make sure it doesn't get stale or that it's at least somewhat deep in terms of gameplay. It's probably going to be regarding the combos and how you can use certain pins together, I'd imagine. So we'll see. I don't think there's only time will tell around that. Also, they mentioned teams a lot. I don't think they mentioned explicitly that there'll be 4 members of the team. I would bet that the amount of team members you have changes and you get more or less as time goes on.
I can completely agree with that. That was my first thought, because in the original game, you started with only 4 pin slots. And as you progressed, you unlocked more pin slots by spending certain materials. So I'm wondering if we hit certain points in the game, we will gain or lose team members to help us get more pin slots.
Yeah.
I would be super hyped for that.
So would I.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Oh, so you know when you remember Anime Expo, guys? Remember Anime Expo when we were told explicitly that Neo the Ones with you would follow the anime storyline? Now remember Tetsuya Nomura when he went on this interview and he said that you could play the game or watch the anime too? What do you want from me? Make up your damn mind. Why do I watch the anime only and disregard the game, or do I listen to both, or do I listen to neither? Tell me, what do I do? Neku, what do I do? Neku, what do I do?
You've already played the game. You're fine.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm getting so mad about this, but still, it's annoying. Make up your mind, damn it.
So in this interview, the reason why he is screaming, they have explicitly stated the first game is not required to understand or go through Neo. That's such conflicting information, because Nomura, who cannot keep his mouth shut, has said multiple times that the anime needs to be watched, and then all of a sudden he backpedaled, and then all of a sudden he backpedaled again, and I'm just gonna go play the game, man. I'm done. I'm out of here. Bye.
I mean, yeah, that really is just the way to play it. Just play the game.
I will never understand why they can't make their mind up about this. Look, it's fine. I'm sure like either way you'll kind of understand what's going on. Only time will tell, really.
The interview has been found.
I will read through this. We can talk about it next episode.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's it, though. I think in terms of this interview, there isn't too much left to discuss. So let's move on to what's becoming a weekly segment of what piece of new TPEWY merch are we gonna cry about today?
Yay!
Let's clap, everybody, for your weekly segment.
Yay!
Sob.
Who here has money? Because I shirt out.
This week on We Don't Have Enough Money to Buy TPEWY merch. Medals, medallions, keychains. Square Enix hates me. So these are like metal sort of, they're like metallic versions of the pins that are like embossed, and they're really clean looking. Like they look super duper clean. So there's the player pin. There's like some of the basic pins that you get at the beginning of the game. There's some hip snake pins, some move stratus pins, some DB pins. They're metal. They're not colored, but they're metal and they're like engraved with all these patterns. And they're really cool. I want them all. I want each and every one of them. Also a poster? Question mark? Is that what that is on the top left? Is that a poster?
Yes, that's a key art poster.
Oh, I want it. I want it. I want it really bad. But yeah, there's tote bags. There's really cool like name design. I think, are those keychains, Mai? Is that what that is over there?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also what seems to be like a wrist strap. Yeah, phone strap, yeah. Which is apparently they're huge in Japan. Not so much here. But yeah, like
all I can do is sob.
Right. Like I really like the designs of the little keychains, like with them, like they all have hair, they all have little things that show you what character they're from. They're really neat. They're and that's not all. There's ones for the Neo characters as well, which is really neat. Like there's Minamoto with his little tuft of hair and his of course his megaphone, Shoka, Rindo. Apparently Rindo is just like the mascot of Jupiter the Monkey.
Yeah. I actually really love those because they look like someone looked at the characters and went, how can I condense you into a single thing?
Yeah. It's really cool. Like
Yeah,
even
really
Nagi has a little like two hair strands on the side of her one. They're all really cute and they're all really good. And I like them a lot. I'll take one of each, please.
And then after we spend $300, there's going to be more merch even later. Speaking of which, there is more merch.
Of course there is. Why wouldn't there be? This is the original soundtrack for the anime, which is happening. It's pretty cool, actually. The soundtrack of the anime. There are a couple of songs in there that are like pretty cool, that are bangers. So I'm looking forward to this when it comes out, so I can buy this too. What is that's too early. That's what that is. But that concludes this week's segment of we don't have money to buy TPEWY merch.
Yay!
Can we do this every week?
Yes. Every fucking time we do a podcast, there's more merch.
And then you guys are just like, yay. So the other big piece of information that we learned this week is Square Enix, the love of my life. If I have a kid, I'm gonna call him Square Enix.
Good lord.
Poor kid.
What do you mean? So Square Enix, fetch me some water. That'd be great.
No.
Square Enix.
That's how you treat your kid.
What do you mean? I'll be an okay parent, I think. Look, it's fine.
I think it'll be a great parent. I think they'll still hate you for the name.
Look, man, if I manage this kid half as well as I manage this podcast, by golly, he'll.
Oh no.
Anyway, moving on. So Square Enix said they were going to be at E3. So that's okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about this. Square Enix is going to be at E3. I have been baited before, boys and girls. I've taught my lesson. Square Enix had a summer showcase. No, not a summer showcase. No, sorry, my bad. It was like a spring showcase. When was that? You know what I'm talking about?
A few months ago.
Spring.
Yeah, spring.
I think it was actually back in spring.
Yeah, they had a showcase of a bunch of Square Enix stuff, and I was sitting here crossing my fingers and toes for some news, and we got nothing. It was just mostly about Square Enix's more Western things. Square Enix is huge, and this is TPEWY is far from their top priority. and it's far from the only upcoming game that they have. It's getting a lot more attention now than it did before, but Final Fantasy 16 is something that's on the horizon. Final Fantasy 7 Part 2 is something that's on the horizon. Oh my lord! She's just, oh god! It's a robot. It's taking over.
You're glitching out.
Okay. It's okay. I think
it's subsided for now.
I think Show is taking over the frequency. Thank you, Show. You've done us a great service.
No, this is not a good thing.
It'll be great. So, as I was saying, so yeah, there's a couple of different projects that Square Enix do have on their plate. So my point is, there's a high possibility that we don't see anything about The Ones With You in this, unfortunately. However, we might. I would like to see something.
Is it in June?
Yes. June
yes,
12th.
E3's in June. Yes.
So we might get like a final drop trailer of like release stuff, and that's about it.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Like, I mean, the thing is that I don't know if we really need any more information than what we have. If you get what I mean. It would be nice. But, like, I feel like they might have given, like, just enough information so that anybody who might be interested would be interested, right? I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, what are your hopes and expectations around this E3 conference?
For me, it's mostly just Final Fantasy 16, TPEWY, Final Fantasy 14, Endwalker. I'm a big Final Fantasy nut, if you can't tell.
Me too. Well, I'm 14 specifically, not any of the other ones.
More Kingdom Hearts news for me, because I'm a sucker who's been playing that game since I was 12.
Yep.
And what was that other IP that Luminous Studios is doing? That new one we saw that we thought was a Final Fantasy game. I forgot what it's called. Forsaken, something like that. Forspoken?
No, Outsiders or something. That one.
No, Outsiders was the Destiny clone.
Oh, you're not talking about that. You're talking about something else.
No, Forspoken is the one from Luminous Productions, the guys who made Final Fantasy 15 look as pretty as it was.
Gotcha. Yeah,
that's the one I'm really excited for. Mai, what about you?
Yeah, I obviously TPEWY, and again, like you said, Final Fantasy 16. I'm not really expecting anything Kingdom Hearts, but I would appreciate it. But I know that they said that they're just focusing on The Ones With You this year.
I hope so. That would be sick.
Maybe more news on FF7 Remake Part 2, but I'm not really thinking there's going to be anything.
I think they probably will. Like, if we go into general speculation about E3, I think they probably will give us something on...
Maybe just an update.
Definitely on one of those three. Definitely either TPEWY, Final Fantasy 16, or some Kingdom Hearts news of some kind. Or Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Like, either there's definitely gonna be news for one of those three for sure. Or I'm a big, massive idiot liar, which is also a possibility.
I hope that's not true.
Moving on. Let's talk about nothing. I actually think we've gone through everything before we have to talk about episode 5, right?
Yeah, I think it's time.
And it didn't take us 2 hours to get there this time. Round of applause.
That is just success in our book, really.
Considering the fact how much news there actually has been in the last 2 weeks, us getting here like before an hour and a half is a miracle.
We condensed it pretty good. But that being said, we're now getting to the angry part where I talk about the episode that Show isn't in. So, if you don't want to be spoiled about episode 5, go away. But now it's time for me to get angry. Because now, like before, I was like, you know what? Joshua, maybe he's not such a bad guy. Maybe, if he came over and tried to date my little sister, you know, like based on that first episode, I'm like, okay, man, you know what? Maybe this kid, his hair may look stupid, but you know what? Maybe he's not such a bad guy. But then this episode comes along, and he just, bitch, you thought I would be decent? Nah, fam. Give me that orange hair boy right now. Let me destroy his life. Look, man, this is a touchy topic for me. All right, I'm gonna be real with you. I am unhappy.
Only a little unhappy.
We got 2 frames of show and the whole 22 minutes of Joshua. So I'm a little salty. I'm a little salty. I'm trying to keep it down. I'm being very subtle, but I'm a little bit salty.
A little subtle, he says, screaming into my ears.
How did you feel about episode 5 of the anime?
I loved it. Excuse me.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's just fantastic. That's great. You know, I'm always happy when my friends are happy about the. I can't do this. You do it. You do the podcast. I'm done. I'm out. Take it easy. You got the script. Screw this.
Boy. He actually left. Mai, do you want to go ahead and start talking about Joshua?
Actually, I'm not done. Hold on. I'm not done. Actually, hold on. I'm not done. Because why does he have to every single time? I hate him. I hate him.
I think we know. I think we know, bud.
No, just calm down, okay? You'll see him next episode.
Okay. All right. I'm a professional, right? Am I professional? Yeah.
You walked out on your own stream.
That's a professional thing to do. I agree.
Yeah. Have you never seen the goddamn what's that show called? The one where people have arguments, say you're not the dad or something. What's that show called?
You are not the father?
Jerry Springer. That's what this is. Jerry Springer's a professional, I think.
He is. He never walks out. It's his guests that do.
Oh, I've done this podcast very wrong. But that's not the point. The point is Josh was an asshole, and I hate him.
Mai, would you like to talk about how much you like Joshua now before it gets worse?
Yeah. Yeah, so like in episode 4, you know, it was like I said earlier, it was just kind of like a honeymoon period where everything's fine between them. And then this episode, he's being a douche again. And I'm like, yes.
And you're happy about it. See, this is the happiest you've been. Now that he's being an asshole again, you're like, now I'm really feeling, now this is the experience I paid for.
I mean, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Even I'm shocked by that one. Wow.
No. I appreciate his douchiness because it makes me laugh. I've said this before. I like when the rival is just an asshole to the main character because that is plot, and that does it. Not only makes me laugh because of just the whole situation, but also character development. Neku has to get over it, and I'm proud that he does. But anyway, more about Joshua. He does his little play with his hair sprite.
Oh, he's a little hair sprite, you guys. You know that thing in the game where he plays with his Neku, I can't do this. Neku, I can't fucking do this. I can't fucking take it, man. I can't somebody make it stop. Somebody
I'll make you a deal, sir. If you can deal with this for this episode, the next 2 are all about your boy, and you can do the same thing back.
Okay. All right.
How are they all about show?
Fair enough. That's a fair trade right there. Okay. He plays with his he the hair playing with sprite is the same sprite as Neku when he's twirling his hair. Is that what you wanted to mention?
Joshua,
Yes.
we did all the Joshua sprites, okay? I'm just appreciating it. Playing with the hair, the I don't care shrug, and crap. yeah, every time that he's thinking, they kept his body language with that, which I actually really appreciate that they kept the same body language with when he puts a little finger on his chin.
It's very nice to still see them putting put a lot of effort into each character and showing the sprites scattered about, just showing they actually know what they're looking at, know what they're doing.
But continuing on, just something that was very interesting in this episode was that in that game we saw Joshua like trying to get Neku to go to Cat Street, but he says that he gets a mission on his phone. In the episode of the anime, he just walks away from Neku and texts him a mission, and again Neku's like, oh crap, we gotta go, just like in the game. But then Joshua's like, oh, I sent you that fake, which I just thought that was very.
He doesn't even check.
No, these are just petty insults.
It's not you. He's the nerd. Not you. But yeah, no, it's interesting as well because like in the game, he also like he goes like, wait, there was never a timer on my hands. He doesn't even really bring that up in the anime. Yeah.
So obviously, it makes sense. Joshua can send Neku missions, but it's not really questioned. Just like it's very weird that Neku's not questioning how Joshua can use his phone with like phone calls and texting. So that's just something that's getting to me a little bit that I wish that they would address.
To be fair, Neku's trying to blindly trust his partner right now.
True.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, I got distracted with my bitrate tanking.
You also are completely losing your mind right now, just based on all the Joshua conversation.
That's part of it.
Shall we move on to a different boy?
Yes, Mr. Hanekoma. We got several spites of Hanekoma smiling. Not one. They spoiled us this time. Square Enix gave us multiple sprites of Hanekoma not frowning or being serious. You're too kind. You're too kind, Square Enix. We got to see a bit. We got to see a bit more of a playful side to Hanekoma this time around. Honestly, I kind of wish that he was more like this for the rest of the anime. I think even in the anime, he seems like a bit more chill than he is in the game. Like in the game, he's a bit more energetic, whereas in the anime, he's a bit more chill. I don't know. That might be a Japanese thing, right? Like that's just how he is in Japanese. That he's a bit more chill. Whereas I feel like in the game, he's a bit more energetic. I don't know. What do you think, Neku?
I'm thinking that Hanekoma's personality is consistent between the two. It's just we're missing a lot of the original context and conversations. After week 1, day 2, where we were able to ask him a bunch of questions, when he came to save Beat after Ryan was erased, like we're missing a lot of very long and lengthy conversations with him. This is the first time we've actually sat down and talked to the man. So I think we're going to see more of that energetic side throughout the rest of the week. I hope. Otherwise, I think it's just Hanekoma, and it's great because he's our big old coffee dad.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about Hanekoma, or were you just too distracted by Joshua's hair twirling to see anybody else?
No, I was super excited to see Hanekoma because I do love Hanekoma. I love all the characters. But like something that I really realized, and I really knew this more so because I did a project last semester where I had to make my own restaurant. But so I based it on Wildcat, and like Joshua was mentioning the like items on the menu, and like and so did Hanekoma, and they stuck to it. And it's just like a little nod to the menu that was in the game.
That's awesome. That's really cool. That entire scene in the anime had quite a bit of sort of Easter eggs and nudges and sort of conversations that like if you know what's going on, you kind of get the I see what you did there. You sly devils, you. Let me see if I can bring up the tweet. I'll just scroll through it as you guys are kind of talking about it.
It's this entire scene is definitely just subtlety in general. It's amazing to see Joshua and Hanekoma talk about Neku and the fact that he is a walking, talking proxy in front of his face without spilling the beans somehow. Is kind of great.
Yep, it's really subtle. It's really clever. Some of the dialogue in the show is super clever, and that's some of it. But yeah, he installs the camera. I think he mentioned that he installed something else on the phones, right?
It was the phone and the tracker. It was the camera and the tracker.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. We got Joshua's shrug sprite. Is there anything else that people notice about that scene? I'm sure there's a lot to say about this coffee scene that I'm not catching.
Just like talking about that conversation, like the tweet that you brought up, there's like the nice hidden conversation about Joshua's decision, where Hanekoma asks like if there's any change on his end, and he's like, no, not yet. And in the context where Joshua's saying, well, what if the game changes him more in parts where it shouldn't? And Hanekoma, of course, is always being really optimistic. He's like, I believe in possibilities. Any change on your end, Joshua? He's like, not yet. And I actually didn't catch this at first. I didn't catch it until I saw that tweet. Because I thought that he was just referring to like anything on the tracker. And so it was very, very subtle. But of course, people did pick it up when I saw it, and I was like, oh my god, how did I miss this?
Because also, it's that subtle.
Yeah, it is that subtle. But then another part of the scene is that, like, we sit down with Joshua. Hanekoma goes and makes us some coffee, and what's different from the game, and obviously it's just with time constraints. Joshua tells his story about seeing the UG growing up, and then coming to the UG. So I thought that was interesting. He tells a story. Because what I liked about it in the original game is that you learn it from Hanekoma that Joshua saw it, and then later in the week, Joshua briefly mentions it, and Neku was like, "Oh, that's that because you saw the UG, right?" And you're like, "Oh, so you talked to Hanekoma about me?" So it was just like a little smug moment.
That man is nothing but smug.
He got so smug in this episode at the end, especially.
He really started showing off that personality we're all waiting to see. Because it is.
I wasn't waiting to see it. I just want to point that out. I want no part of this. It just kind of happened that I had no consent or say in the matter.
You're just biased because your boy is not in this episode.
No! Maybe.
Only maybe.
Again, without Joshua, there would be no plot.
You know what? Without me, there would be no podcast. What's the point? What's your point, Mai? You know what? We're moving on. We're gonna move on. Yeah, the Neku fangirls over Cat, right?
Adorable.
Right in front of Cat.
Right in front of him. And it's adorable, and it's great, and he smiles.
A lot.
It's really nice. It's really nice to see him passionate about life. It's great. I love Neku. If I sound mad right now, it's not because of Neku. It's just residual anger. All right, you're gonna have to bear with me here for a second. Yeah. No, it's cool. It's nice. It's real fucking nice. You know what, Neku? Tell me more about the scene. Just go. Just do it.
So it's a really interesting note here that Neku is allowed to fanboy in front of Kat, and Kat doesn't say anything, because it kind of reflects how it happens in real life when you're talking to a celebrity and you don't realize it's them. Or you're talking to someone that's like related to the celebrity and you don't realize it's them. They just kind of have to chill there and just let you say it, and then they hopefully go, yeah, you're right, instead of, no, you're wrong, I hate you. It's really nice to see Neku have an appreciation for something at this point, outside of like Shiki. Because he has been very, very negative throughout almost all of the anime so far. We haven't seen a lot of the positive notes outside of the interaction with Cat and parts of Shiki's week. So I hope we get to see a little bit more of that soon.
Yeah, that's something I do like about week 2 is that you really get to see like what Neku likes, because like when we see him in the flashback looking at the mural, you see this happy little boy, and that smile always makes me smile. And he gets so passionate about it, and it's nice to see. But you have something to say, Ahmed?
Yeah, back to your point, Neku. Like you were mentioning, like how this is like kind of the first point we see this. That's kind of similar to the game. This is the only time in the game too, or the first time in the game we get to hear more about Neku's passions and what he enjoys, and he gets really excited about it. I feel like that's kind of reflected in the game. I don't think he really shows that side of him before this point.
It's well because week 1 he didn't have his memories is the first problem, but during week 1 he does show the compassion for Shiki liking fashion stuff and stuff like that. He still understands it and he still accepts it and goes, just keep doing you. And then during week 2 he remembers why he's passionate because he gets his memories back.
That's true actually. Yeah, you're right.
Neku Shiki best ship. Ain't saying anything else.
Hell yeah. Which I heard recently, apparently that ship is called Stalker Phones. Is that what that ship is actually called, or am I being bamboozled?
I think you're being bamboozled.
Being bamboozled by Twitch chat, no less. When has Twitch chat ever lied to me? It's never happened before. You guys are monsters, but I love you.
That is a good ship name. That's funny.
That's a name. That's all I'm gonna say.
Also, ladies and gentlemen, we did it. He said the words. He said it. He said the world ends with you. He said the thing. Finally, Hanekoma said the words.
Roll credit.
He did it. He said the world ends with you, and the world was never the same. Yeah. So in case anybody didn't know, that's it. That's where it's said. I don't think there's much more to say about that. It's
really not. It's just a title drop.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of shows you how important Hanekoma is, the fact that it comes out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you know what? I would like you to talk about this next point, because you wrote this down and it cracked me up.
Yeah, I was just like Joshua's tracker. It seriously just looks like Pokemon Go. So I just think of like he's running, just staring at his phone. He's like, Neku, we gotta go. But I'm just like, there's a Lapras up ahead. We gotta go get it now.
There's a shiny Rhyhorn around here. We gotta find it.
There's a Pokestop on Cat Street. Let's go.
You have 15 minutes to get to Cat Street before I lose this fucking Drowsy. Let's go.
That's a good headcanon. Neku speculating who the composer is from the actual composer, which is neat. I don't know if does anybody have anything to say about that?
It's just a moment of, again, you're talking to a celebrity in front of the celebrity and you don't realize it.
The secondhand embarrassment.
What else?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, let's move on. I feel like that's fairly self-explanatory.
We also are running out of time.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit, but at least not 2 hours. Rip Ramen Dawn. Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, but they have to, like, for the anime, they have to cut out a lot of these sort of side stories and smaller things. Like, even though they at least kind of hinted at or sort of brought up the mic stuff a little bit. Which, yay, yes. It's the one time Minamoto shows up, yay. That's it.
That was the funniest interaction I've ever seen. Literally 777 talking about the mic and it pops up in a speech bubble. I don't know why that sent me so hard. It took me out of it for a second. I was just laughing.
Yeah, you laughed really hard at that. I don't know why.
It just took me out of it. I don't know why.
But yeah, it's just some of these side stories had to be cut. So
Yeah, but Makoto's really been sidelined, and Kendo doesn't show up.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah,
it's just losing the character development, which really sucks. But they have a time constraint, and they have to follow it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely not something to carrying on.
Oh yeah, Megumi just kind of poops out of existence. That was funny.
Yeah.
Here, go do thing, poof.
Now you see me, now you don't.
Konishi's just like, well, I guess this bar is mine now. Let me just think about show.
Yeah, you just kind of it's funny. I don't know what happens, but it cracked me up. Players attacked by taboo noise. Fairly self-explanatory. Yeah, I don't think there's very much to say about that. People just get attacked by taboo noise.
But that leads into Now and Soda. That scene, I really love Now and Soda. First off, and
brown
so
boys, brown boys.
It's actually called Ganguro.
Oh. Sure.
But anyway, there's like in the game the interaction when they meet Now and Soda. It's a really nice scene, and it got cut short, and because the whole point is that in the game, Neku's feeling really crappy about Shiki being his entry fee, but then Now and Soda make him feel better, and is like, well, that may be the case, but that means you really care about her, and they both would want to come back to life together, and no matter what it takes for them both to get back. And so like Soda was like, I'd play like 1,000,000 times for Now if I had to, and Now was like, I'd gladly be his entry fee. And it's just a really cute moment. We don't get that, so I hope that we get it in the next episode.
It's really, because I like that moment a lot. I like that moment a lot, and it's like especially with him being like, man, don't get yourself down. Like, yeah, I'm sure she doesn't mind. I'm sure the fact that she knows you care about her that much is a good thing. You go get her, you save her. Like, I love that conversation. Like,
it's a very good conversation.
I'm kind of upset that conversation was kind of left in the dust. It's really unfortunate. I like that conversation a lot.
At least
I had a realization.
What?
Naoto and Soda's entry fee were in each other.
Huh. Oh yeah.
That just kind of dawned on me a second ago. Why? What? Whatever. Moving on.
I do appreciate at least she still calls Neku, but we don't get to see her call Joshua Josh.
Yeah, Joshua. Yeah.
What a name. What a freaking nickname though in English.
I do love Now though. Freaking one of my favorite lines of hers is like, "Call me Now for short, K."
Yeah.
Because yep.
It's like, okay.
That's longer, but okay. There's another change in this week. With because in the game, the point of the phone camera that Hanakuma installed is that there's 3 shots a day, and this you only get 2. And I just thought that was a odd change. But
yeah, that's because I noticed that it is kind of odd. Because like it mainly had a gameplay purpose, I guess, but like it's interesting that it was very specifically 2 in the anime. I don't know why. I don't have any comments about it because I don't know what it could possibly mean, but it's interesting.
It's very odd, like why that changed.
Considering it's only like, go ahead.
I think it's literally just a redo to make the picture scene shorter. Because we know Beat's gonna run his camera out in week 3.
Yeah.
That's just what's gonna happen. So they're probably trying to make that scene shorter.
Possibly.
It's the only thing I can think of. It's the only reason why they would change it.
Yeah.
But I hope what I like about that scene in week 3 is that they just get lucky that they capture in freaking Joshua. Beats just taking Neku's phone and just doing just 3 shots, and just luckily one of them was the one that they needed.
Yep.
So hopefully there's still that.
Here's hoping. But yeah, so yeah, that's interesting. What else? There's another fight scene in here. That's the thing about this episode. There wasn't very many fight scenes. Like I kind of like. It's kind of unfortunate that there wasn't very much action, and it was a bit of a slower paced episode. But there was one fight with a little taboo noise where they do the thing with the fusion. Nothing really interesting happens there other than Joshua gets tackled. Or sorry, Joshua tackles Neku, I think, is what happens this time around.
Yes.
And Joshua jumps? Question mark?
Joshua can jump?
Which, you know.
He was down for the count after jumping, though. He was like, that was a lot.
Yeah.
It took him a bit to get up.
The composer being a wimpy boy who can't jump 3 feet in the air. Just, huh?
He can't jump, but he can levitate.
Yeah. That is the one thing with Joshua is I kind of want to see him go, man, fuck this, and then send like a beam of light from the sky.
Just, I hate you, die.
Yeah. Uzuki shows that she has a gun.
The canister guns are back. Yay!
Yeah.
Her gun's different. In the game that she had the same gun as Joshua, but this one she has like her own stylized one. She's special. It's all pink.
Yeah.
She does have a colored one in the game, but this one is actually different.
Yeah. It still makes 0 sense, but this one seems to shoot like beams of light or something. Or like fire.
I think she's using a psych and shooting it through the gun.
That'd be cool.
Probably, yeah. There's one thing that we forgot to mention here that grinded my gears in that episode when Neku sees a flashback and touches Joshua. I don't have a picture of it, so I can't show it right here, but when you shoot a gun and there's like smoke that comes out of the gun. That came out of the top hole of the gun. Which is baffling to me. I would have thought it'd come out of the center or something. It was baffling that's where the shot came out of from the gun.
The gun makes no sense.
The center hole that you're seeing is actually a pin that holds the chamber in place. Because I went back and I checked the sprites. The top of the gun is technically where the bullet's supposed to come out.
I love and hate the fact that you checked that. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Yeah. What is this?
You think I wouldn't check something that's stupid? I love this game, okay?
Look at this. What is this, lads?
This gun makes no sense.
My friends, okay, so they're blind to TPEWY and they're watching this, and the first thing they said in this scene was, "What the fuck is that gun?"
That's everyone's response to these stupid guns.
So in conclusion, Joshua is basically what happened here. I don't know what else to tell you. In fact, I feel like this frame is a pretty good summary of how I felt about the entire episode. So Justice is dead. Life is pain. Joshua is taking over episode 5. We'll get him next episode.
Then you can stop being tortured. Then he goes bye-bye. He goes in...
until the end of week 3.
Yes, and then he messes everything up again.
Can't come soon enough. In all honesty, though, that episode was, in my opinion, it's probably one of the weaker ones. Not because it was bad in any way. I still think episode 1 was probably the worst episode.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of, it was slow. There wasn't really any big fight scene there. There's all kind of stuff we've seen before. Nothing too major happened. It's pretty slow. Yeah, it was just kind of a pretty slow episode, which is fine. but it just kind of happened. We did get a lot of Joshua lore, which is nice, and we got the Hanakoma stuff was pretty cool. But yeah, no, it was fine. Excuse me, sorry, it was a fine episode. What'd you guys think?
I will let Mai speak first because this is her boy.
I agree. It was a slower episode, but it was kind of nice to slow down and just have like a lot of dialogue. Because some of the fighting, it just felt like because it was really fast paced, so there was just like fight after fight after fight. And some of them can be really flashy. And so it's just nice that they're focusing on more of the characters right now.
If only for a moment.
Yeah, if only for a moment.
For me in particular, this episode was fine. It felt more like an exposition dump than characters talking, and that's my problem with it. Because Hanekoma and Joshua talking back and forth was probably the most realistic portrayal of a conversation we've had in the anime so far, at least in Joshua's week, which I was very happy to see, but I felt like it needed to be longer than it was.
That's true. Sorry, I'm just here in the background. But yeah, no, you're right. I don't really have anything much more to add to this episode. It was just it was pretty neat. It was pretty neat. So
next episode is definitely gonna be. The next episode is gonna be a lot more action packed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Like
cram the last 3 days into one episode,
which is not gonna be fun.
Well, we can get more, my boy. Yes, Lion Man, Math Man. Show me more. But yes, and we will discuss that not next week, the week after next.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks' time, we will be exploring episode 6 and 7 of the anime on the 22nd of May. See that? This time I had it prepared. Look at that.
Yeah.
Don't say I'm not prepared for things.
Biggest thing is we're going back to our normal time slot.
Hell yeah, we're going back to 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're gonna be going back to 2 hours earlier. Huzzah! So that'll be happening, which will be good for everybody. And so we're gonna be talking about 2 more episodes of the anime, and then we'll see what happens during the week, because we are inevitably probably gonna get some more news, because that's just how this kind of stuff works out.
They always drop news on us right before.
And merch. Yep. Don't forget the merch.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get another weekly installment of We Cry Over.
At least the thing with the merch, like with the figures especially, is that they're affordable figures. That's really what I want the most.
They're fairly inexpensive. I am surprised at how cheap those figures are.
Oh, those like 25? Yeah, no, those are great. I'm gonna buy like all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I anticipate they're probably gonna be pretty small, but still.
There is one other thing that we haven't really talked about that I want to just comment on. There was an ad during the episode for Neo, but it didn't really show us anything worth talking about.
Well, first of all, it's worth noting that I'm not going to show it because it's not, well, it hasn't been uploaded by Square Enix themselves. And I don't want to get on Square Enix's bad side, so I'm not going to be showing that commercial myself. However, it's just like it's a 30-second, it's not even 30 seconds, I think it was like more like 20-second TV
15.
advert where 15-second TV advert where they play the third Untitled song from the website, and then the only really new thing that we see there is just that we see some more cutscenes from the game itself that we have not seen anywhere else. But other than that, there isn't any new information or anything like that. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty all right. I like seeing all this content.
A lot of crazy stuff.
Yep. I think with that, I think we're good. I think we can call that an episode, guys. Right? Is there anything else I missed?
No, I think we got it all.
Are you all happy? Are you happy, Mai? Are you happy? I
You know,
hope you're
I
happy.
was gonna just ask where the counter ended, but I guess it just went up.
We just added another one, so 8.
You know, honestly, I thought it was gonna hit double digits.
Well, considering the fact he tried to leave the room, I counted that as 2. But he's been fairly tame today. Tomorrow will be, or the next episode will be a lot worse.
We'll get him next episode. We'll get him real hard next episode. Which again, next episode will be on the 22nd of May. You can catch it here on twitch.tv/Amadeus_. And that will be happening on the 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, going back to the usual time, with the 3 of us discussing the next 2 episodes of the anime, and probably some other nonsense that's going to happen in the meantime. With that, I think we can call it. I've been Amadeus_. I'm actually, if you are at all interested in me and my personality, I'm going to be going back to streaming in the next 2 weeks. By the time the next episode airs, I would have come back with a couple of streams by then. So, if you are in any way interested in me or my personality or the other stuff I do, stay tuned to this Twitch channel. That's it from me. I think as well, before I go on to my co-hosts, I as well want to give a super special thanks to Flora Laurel, who again does all of these wonderful avatars that we keep showing throughout the episode. They're really well done, and she has her own commissions open. So please, I'm sure somebody will post her link in the chat.
I'm working on that right now.
Please go commission her if you need art done or emotes done, or just want to frame her work. All those options would be good. Where can people find more about Myra Zed?
Post link. I think this should be a command.
Oh yeah, no, I have a bot. I have a bot that does this for me.
Mm-hmm.
Is the bot working now?
Of course. Why wouldn't it be working? Well, I'd have to spell it correctly first.
Yeah, you might want to spell that right.
Oh my God, hold on.
I think you made it just my.
There, okay, there we do. We
oh,
did it.
right. You changed the description.
It's fine. It's not important. That's that, and then you can find Osmaneku on his stream, which is twitch.tv/Osmaneku, and I believe he has the same Twitter tag as well.
Yep, I have the same thing everywhere, luckily. I don't know how I got the same name everywhere, but I don't have to deal with an underscore of anything.
Wow. Thanks for the low blow, Neku. I appreciate it. Look, you know what? Us underscore people, all right, we'll rise up one day. Man, it's just been me. You know what? That's it. I'm done with this. I'm mad, man. I'll see you guys on the 22nd. Goodbye.